Satori mills are dedicated to Gagarin.
Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes?
Dedication in return.
I'm not closing off the city every time you want to run a tour group through here.
Our investor visits.
I was just thinking that this is about what Irvin saw all those years ago when he arrived. He probably stood here thinking that he was going to make things better. He had a good heart.
I have security work to get back to.
We need to reopen the case. See if there's anything that was overlooked the first time. We've done some legwork remotely, but we need to do some good old-fashioned investigating now. Hopefully it will be enough to clear Irvin's name. Maybe not in its current form, but I'm sure Irvin painted a much different picture in his mind. I'm thinking something impressionist. Softer edges, or plants. I wonder if Ellie has any pictures of old Gagarin in her office. Only one way to find out, right? Yes, but listen. Nobody will stand up against the mining corporations around here. They're scared. She didn't want to lose the case, but she didn't have a lot to go on. Thanks to us, now she does. I sent that to our lawyer already. I asked her to confidentially review what we found. Right. She said she would meet us at our office when we arrive. Hopefully she can tell us what we need to do in order to clear Irvin's name. Let's stick together, though. Gagarin isn't a huge town, but it's not the kind of town that I want to get lost in.
We just learned about Earth in school. When I get my own ship, I'm going there.
I wonder if there are any mining jobs on Mars these days. I could put up with some dust. Well, different dust.
Well, well, well. Barrett, you're actually here. Astounding.
Ellie! Ellie, come on. I promised we'd stop by, didn't I?
People make promises all the time, Barrett. And most folks try to avoid Gagarin, not visit it. Anyway, I'm glad you made it out here. We have work to do, don't we? It's not a resort. It's a working town run by mining corporations. You don't come here unless you need to, and you don't stay unless you have to.
Or unless you're a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer who genuinely wants to make things better for others. Right, Ellie?
You're kind, Barrett. Yes, I suppose there's that type of person as well. Yes. It was my first case as a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer.
Well, starting your career with a defeat is rough, Ellie.
It was. But in a way, it made me more determined. Not exactly, but similar cases. A corporation commits a crime and needs a scapegoat, so they select someone powerless to target.
The quintessential Gagarin tale.
Indeed. Down to business. Perfect. What do you already know?
So we already know that Irvin worked for Hephaestus Mining Company years ago, and they blamed him for catastrophic economic and ecological issues here on Gagarin.
Yes. He lost his case because he didn't defend himself, and we had almost no evidence without him. He was publicly blamed for the economic woes, and his accounts were seized in compensation.
His account on Gagarin specifically. It was just the amount he was paid years ago for the job.
Right. They would have taken his assets and other settlements, but by law, his death prevented it.
I recall receiving a message asking him to appear in court a day after his funeral.
An unfortunate reality of interplanetary legal communiques, I'm afraid. Well, we can bring the case to a judge here if we have new evidence or a witness.
What about the evidence we found so far?
Yes, well, about that. It's just not enough. Not on its own, no. It's circumstantial. Helpful to support our claim, but not enough. Best case scenario, we clear his name and his assets are returned, plus additional compensation. In order for me to go before a judge, I'd like to have some solid evidence pertaining to motive. The courts won't entertain a challenge to its ruling unless we're sure that something major was missed in the original trial.
What was the motive from the original trial?
We had no solid motive after our witness withdrew his testimony. Yeah, we need something major. Documentation, recordings, a witness, something.
It's been so long. How could we find anything like that?
I've thought about this a lot since the original case. The mine that Irvin worked at was shuttered in 2309. They probably still have documents relating to whatever happened there with him. Not necessarily. To Hephaestus, it might be cheaper to run away and let the dust bury it all.
Not really. All I know is that it's a Hephaestus mine from 20 years ago, somewhere on Gagarin.
I don't have a couple decades to wait for you to search them all, so we'll need to narrow it down. That's where you come in. I don't know which mine he worked at when the incident took place. In theory, you could find that information on a Foundry terminal, if you can access it. You'll need a passcode. That's the hard part. Besides the Foundry records, there also might be something in Irvin's apartment. If he knew he was being framed, he might have held on to some documents there.
You know, now that you mention it, I know a cozy place nearby where we could relax and maybe find some evidence helpful for the case.
You both realize I'm still here, right?
Irvin had an old apartment nearby. I never sold it. We could search it and see if he left anything there from the job.
Why didn't you lead with that, Barrett?
Hey, at least I didn't forget entirely. Do you think your Argos extractor's credentials could work? That would be handy.
Barrett, you brought someone with relevant work experience? I admire that.
I'm nothing if not resourceful, Ellie.
If that doesn't work, then maybe talk shop with another worker. See if they can help.
We just need to find the mine where Irvin worked 20-some years ago. How hard could that be?
Let me level with you both. It might not be possible to find enough evidence. But we may as well try, right? At least we'll know one way or another. If you'll excuse me, I have to get some court documents ready for this case.
I should still have a key to Irvin's apartment. I hope it's worth our time, but I can't be sure. The Foundry District isn't too far from here.